Hi everyone, I think I'm live now. We are facing some internet issues, so you're gonna have to bear with me with that because I'm not really sure what's going on here. Okay, I think I'm back. Alright, so because it's quite windy where I am, facing internet issues, but we're gonna try to make this work because I don't want to cancel this again. Let me see. Okay, so this is going to be an impromptu live event. I did not plan on going live today, but it felt like it's been a while that I came here and spoke about something. So I thought, why not? So this week, we are going to have two more live events, specifically on the topic of parentification, something that I have been speaking about this week and will continue to do so in the coming weeks as well. And today's topic is going to be on how to stop self abandonment. Before we begin, I will just quickly check if you're doing fine on the internet again, and then we're going to begin. In case there is any interruption, I apologize in advance. It's purely because of the weather. Unfortunately, I have no control over it. Okay, I think we are doing fine. So let's just start. Okay, now, what is self abandonment? If you're watching this as a recording, I want you to pause this recording and ask yourself, what do you really understand by this word, or the fact that you're watching this recording? What made you think that self abandonment is something that you would like to learn more on, right? And if you're watching this as live, self abandonment, as the word suggests, is nothing but abandoning yourself, right? What is abandonment? Abandonment is not leaving, abandonment is not consciously telling someone that I'm leaving or telling them goodbye. Abandonment is leaving someone stray. Like for example, you go out with a friend of yours and you are sitting in a cafe and you both are having coffee, and suddenly your friend just stands up and leaves, and there you are sitting dumbfounded thinking, where is my friend? Why did she get up? Where is she going? Why is she not telling me where is she going? She just gets up and leaves. How would you feel? Confused, disrespected, maybe bad, and feeling a bit shocked that is this happening for real? um, all in all, basically, what you're going to experience with your friend is a lack of trust or a breach of trust. Abandonment is just that. Abandonment is not something that you announce. Abandonment is not something that you do consciously or you plan it, right? Because leaving is planned, goodbyes are planned. Abandonment is not. Abandonment is sort of a shock, right? Abandonment is when, without telling what you're going to do, you just do it. So, what is self abandonment? Self abandonment is you doing the exact same thing to yourself. You leave your side. You don't stand up for yourself. When you need yourself to be there, you are not. And you do it very haphazardly. Like you suddenly just abandon yourself. You suddenly just decide that, okay, I'm not going to be on my side. For example, let's say you and I are having a discussion, and let's say you have a certain opinion and I have a certain opinion. It is very easy for me to, let's say, give up on my opinion. It's very easy for me to take your side. It is very easy for me to let go of what I believe and what I want, right? Okay, I think there is some problem again. Why is this happening today? Let me check. Okay, I think we are fine now. Let's just hope that it stays that way. Okay. So, abandonment, self abandonment is just that, right? You not staying by your side, you just leaving your side, like in a very shocking manner, like wherein your nervous system also goes into shock. So, self abandonment is you doing that to younger versions of you, your inner children. That is what you do to yourself. Every time you don't stay by your side, every time you don't keep the promises that you have made to yourself, every time you don't take a stand for yourself, every time you don't listen to yourself, every time you sort of given to what other people are saying instead of listening to your own self, that is what you're doing. You're basically abandoning yourself, right? And abandonment, as I said, it happens in a very haphazard manner, in a very shocking manner. Like it is not something that's planned. So self abandonment is that. And the problem with self abandonment is that when you do that, the worst consequence of that is lack of trust. You find it very difficult to trust yourself anywhere, right? Your wisdom, your decisions, your say in relationships, your decisions about your career, anything that you do, you don't trust yourself because you know that I don't follow through my own words, or I don't stay at the decisions that I have made myself. Like I have a history of not following through. I have a history of not keeping the promises I made to myself. I have a history of leaving myself whenever it's convenient. Okay, I'm really sorry. Something happened again. All right. Now, coming back to what we were talking about. So, self abandonment is just that, right? You lose trust in yourself, you lose trust in your wisdom, you lose trust in your own decision making. And that is one form of self abandonment, like not keeping decisions to yourself. Another form of self abandonment is just, it's just easy for you to believe other people. It's just easy for you to take other people's side. For example, let's say that you are sitting with me, and let's say I'm a confident person and you have a certain opinion and my opinion is very different from you. It'll be very easy for you to believe me rather than believe yourself, right? So at any point of time, it takes just one little leverage for somebody else to have for you to abandon your belief system and believe them. For example, let's say, and this happens at different capacity. For example, some people tend to believe those who have higher social capital, right? Like a big social capital. Social capital means that when you have the um, support in a social setting, right? Like you have fame, you are recognized, and you are somebody who a lot of people know. You must have seen, right? You must have seen your parents do that. Like you must have had some of your parents kind of believe a random uncle and aunt than actually believe you purely because they are respected. Similarly, some people tend to believe rich people easily, or people who just simply have more money, right? Again, you must have seen some people like that, that they tend to abandon their own belief system, what they believe in, and simply believe the other person just because they have more money. So, similarly, self abandonment can happen due to any reason. But what it actually means is that instead of staying loyal to what you believe in, staying loyal to your own principles, you tend to go and simply believe other people very easily. Now, it does not mean that you become rigid, okay? Being loyal to yourself does not mean that you're rigid. Being loyal to yourself means that you have a healthy amount of skepticism and you have a healthy amount of optimism, right? Like, you don't just abandon what you believe in, abandon your principles just because somebody else is saying something else, right? So self abandonment is that you do that to yourself. Now it doesn't necessarily mean that you will do it to other people, right? And that's the tricky thing about self abandonment. Somebody who engages in self abandonment could be someone who takes care of other people really well, could be somebody who shows up for other people really well, could be somebody who defends other people very very well, but when it comes to defending themselves they don't. So self people who do self abandonment to themselves are not necessarily people who do it to other people as well. It's just that they don't know how to show up for themselves. They don't know how to take space for themselves. They will create space for other people. They will encourage other people. They will tell other people to stand up for themselves. It's just that when it comes to them, they don't know how to do it. Now let's talk about why do we self abandon at all? Like why does it, where does it happen? Why do we start it? And why do we keep continuing it despite knowing that this is not something that's good for me, right? Okay. Excuse my cold. I've suddenly developed a really strange cold. Okay, I'm just going to quickly check if we are doing fine on the live. Okay, yeah, I think we are great. Now, let's talk about why do we self abandon at all. So, you need to understand that self abandonment develops due to two, like it comes from two places. One is that self abandonment is something that you learn as a learned behavior. Like you saw somebody in your family do it growing up, and it is something that you just carried and you learned. So it is a learned behavior. Probably you saw your parents do that. You consistently saw your parents prioritize other people's needs over there. You saw them prioritize other people's needs over family's needs. You saw them neglect themselves and prioritize other people. And you kind of saw that. And the thing is that kids tend to idolize their parents. Okay, so they tend to think that what my parents are doing is the right thing to do or the ideal way to live life. So as adults, when you don't reflect onto your behavior, reflect onto whatever it is that I've learned from my parents, is it really right? Is it really the right thing for me? Is it really something that is is going to take me closer to the person I'm supposed to become, the person that I want to become, right? A lot of people don't do this reflection. So as a result, they just blindly follow what their parents are following or have been following, not realizing that your parents are also human beings, which means that they also have faulty behaviors. They have also made their share of mistakes. It means that they have their own coping mechanisms. So whatever your parents are doing doesn't necessarily mean that what they're doing is right. So when you see your parents doing it growing up, there's a very high chance that you adopt it, right? That you learn self abandonment from them and you also start doing it. Another way that you learn it is as a coping mechanism. So, see, self abandonment as a coping mechanism means that you specifically learned it because there was no other option. Like there was no other option to deal with whatever was going on in your home growing up than to actually abandon yourself. Now, what do I mean by this, right? So, a few examples. For example, when your needs were never prioritized, okay? For example, growing up, you were never at the center of the household. Like you were never factored into decision making. You were never somebody who was asked, what do you think, what is right for you, right? Or what do you believe in? When that never happened, it is going to be very easy for you to learn self abandonment because you treat yourself, and I want you to listen to this very carefully. You treat yourself as an adult the exact same way your parents treated you. Okay, so you treat your inner child, the younger versions of you, the inner children, the younger versions of you that live inside of you, the same way your parents treated you when you were a child. So if your parents never factored your well-being, what is right for you when they were making decisions in their life regarding anything, maybe it was health, maybe it was food, maybe it was career, maybe it was education, maybe it was financial decisions, whatever, you are going to repeat the same thing. Okay, so when your needs were never prioritized, right, what you learn as a feedback that you learn as a child important enough, right? I'm not important enough. So that is the exact wiring that you carry, that is the exact programming that you carry as an adult as well. Another example is that when you were punished or you were looked down upon when you tried to prioritize yourself. For example, let's say that you started realizing that this makes no sense, that I'm not being prioritized. Okay, just give me 1 second. It's showing reconnecting with. Okay, I think we are fine now. All right, I'm really sorry for this consistent interruptions. It's truly the weather. This is, repeating last year all over again, where I keep trying to go live and something or the other keeps happening. All right, we are fine now. So, as I was saying, that the second situation is that when you were punished or you were looked down upon when you tried to prioritize yourself. For example, as a kid, when you tried to take a stand for yourself, or when you tried to speak up, you were looked down upon, or you were shamed, you were called selfish, you were called self-centered, you were called dis. You have. What's happening again? Why is this happening again? Okay. All right. Okay, we should be fine now. So, as I was saying, that when you try to take a stand for yourself, when you try to show up, when you try to defend yourself, you were told that you were disrespectful, you don't know how to respect other people, you are selfish, you're self centered, and whatnot. So, you were either looked down upon, or you were shamed, or you were basically punished for taking a stand for yourself. So, what do you learn as a child? That it is wrong to think about my needs. It is wrong to think about what I want, or that people who think about themselves are selfish, or people who think about themselves are bad people, or people who are not empathetic enough, or people who are not good, right? So what you learned is that putting my needs, or prioritizing my needs is a bad thing, and prioritizing other people's needs means that I'm a good person, that I care, or that I'm not selfish. So you may start associating thinking about yourself as being selfish. So that also, creates self abandonment, because you think that staying loyal to myself means that I'm a bad person, because you were shamed for taking a stand for yourself. You were never given the space to think about yourself, right? Or even when you tried, you were told that you were not a good person, or that you're a selfish person. When your parents' problems were so big, their emotions were so big, whatever was happening with them was so big, that you never really had the space to ask about your own needs. And they also did not do that. For example, let's say your parents are always dealing with family problems, or some financial difficulties, or something with, or the other was always going on in the house. So your needs started becoming smaller and smaller. You either started thinking that, what's the point of telling my parents anything? So many problems are going on, they're not going to be able to have the bandwidth to listen to me. So you start contracting, right? You stop speaking up, you stop talking about your needs, you stop expressing yourself. And the other end is that you go and start tending to their needs. Let's say your mother is always sad, she's always complaining about your father, and your father is always complaining about his work, or they're always fighting. So whatever it is, right, their emotions were so big, they took so much space in the household, that there was no space left for you. And they also did not know how to create space for you. Now, it doesn't mean that this is something that they're doing it deliberately or consciously, because that's a thing, right? Self abandonment is something that you learn from emotionally dysregulated, unhealed parents. So when they themselves don't know how to regulate themselves, they can't model a healthy behavior for their children, which is you. So they also did not know how to give you the importance, and you also saw that there is so many problems going on, right, in the house. You felt silly. You felt that, why do I share about my what is going on in my school life? How do I tell my parents about the fact that I'm getting bullied, or how do I even discuss my career problems? Like, there's already so much going on in the house. So what you do is you start to abandon your own needs. You start to minimize your needs. You start to convince yourself that, my needs are just not important enough. Like, what is going on with mom and dad is far more important. What is going on with them is something that, a lot more urgent than my needs are. So you start minimizing, you start contracting yourself, and you slowly kind of become invisible in your needs, right? And what can happen is that your parents may also think that, oh, my child does not have any needs at all, which is another, again, a very toxic dynamic. But unfortunately, that starts to happen because you also convince yourself that I don't have any needs. And this may manifest in adulthood as somebody who thinks of themselves as low maintenance. Somebody who says, मुझे कुछ भी चल जाता है, I can survive with anything, I can live with anything. um, that sounds very great, okay, but it's not always the best thing. It basically means that you don't pay attention, or you don't even want to think about what your needs are. You don't even want to think that, what, I can be particular, that maybe I don't want to eat this, I want to eat something else. Maybe I don't want this, I want something else. What is that? That is you listening to yourself. But when a child grows up in an environment where everybody's emotions, everybody's problems seem so big, the child contracts himself. He becomes the adjusting one, somebody who gets along with everyone, the mature kid, the kid who always shows up for other people. Whereas the child has no whereas the child's needs are not asked at all. It is just assumed, and it is very convenient for parents and family members to assume, oh, that this child does not have any needs, this child is so quiet, so mature, so silent. When in reality, that is a child who does not feel that he has the safety, the emotional safety to express himself. So he contracts, right? He goes in himself, right? That turns into a daughter who never expresses herself, a son who appears strong, right? But inside, you don't know what's happening. The next situation could be is that there is always something going on at home. So as a result, what tends to happen is that you think that other people's needs are more urgent. So this is an extension of the topic we are talking about right now, right? So you tend to become the parentified child, wherein you become the parents to your parents. Like, you are guiding them, you are telling them how to do life, you are being protective of them, you are telling them eat this, eat that. Basically, you tend to become a parent to your parents, and as a result, what's happening? You lose your childhood, right? You lose your childhood, you lose your innocence, and you are always going and protecting your parents, you're always going and protecting them, right? And you start to take on this burden of their happiness on yourself. You tend to think that what I do is going to decide whether whether my parents are happy or not, whether my family is happy or not. So your decisions start to become about, if I do this, will my parents be happy, will they be taken care of? So you start to revolve your career decisions, your relationship decisions, whatever decisions we make as human beings, about them. So as a result, you abandon your life and you tend to them, right? That is also self-abandonment, a very big self-abandonment wound. That is why, when this parentification wound and the self-abandonment, because self-abandonment is just it is a consequence of parentification. Okay, when you are a parentified child is nothing but a child who had to be a parent to his or her own parents. When you are a parentified child like that, self-abandonment comes very naturally to you, because as a child you needed your parents to make you the center of their life. You were the child, but what happened? A complete opposite. You had to make them the center of your life, right? So as a result, your needs stayed in the back seat. Your needs were not important enough, right? And for parents who do not know how to show up for their kids, this is very convenient, to kind of convince yourself that, oh, my child is so mature, so nice, so good, he doesn't have any needs, she doesn't have any needs. No, a child has needs. If a child is not expressing it to you, you need to ask yourself, does my child feel that he or she has enough space to express himself or herself? Because when a child expresses his needs, what basically he's telling you is that I'm thinking about myself. I'm thinking about what I want and what I don't want. But a child who does not think for himself is not a low maintenance child. It's a child who does not have the space to do so, because you celebrate the fact that he's low maintenance. And honestly, there's nothing called low maintenance. It just means that that person has not had the time to think about himself, because he's thinking about other people, other things. That's the question. That's the situation. So when you grew up in a house where something or other was always happening, some chaos happening, some problem happening, you don't have the space to think about what you want. Your decisions are just about survival, right? Your decisions are just about, how can I survive this day? What decision can I make today so that I just survive this situation? So as a result, with parentified children, when they grow up as adults, they often come to the mid 20s or the late 20s. Um, Now, see, if you are doing your inner work, when I say inner work, I'm talking about undergoing trauma healing coaching sessions. When you do that, realize it in a much faster way, and you will be able to heal those wounds much faster. But if you don't go through trauma work, what is going to happen is that you're going to realize at a stage of your life, maybe late 20s, mid 20s, 30s, late 30s, some people also realize in 40s, you come to a point in your life, you look around and you feel like, this is not the life I signed up for. This is not what I wanted. This is not the partner I wanted. This is not the marriage I wanted. This is not the career I wanted. What is happening? People call it midlife crisis. It's not a crisis. It is an awakening. You don't have a midlife crisis or a quarter life crisis. You finally open your eyes, because you finally reach that stage where you just cannot keep on coping anymore. So, when people say that some people make ridiculous or rash decisions at this particular age, no, they're not making that. All this energy that has been stored, suppressing yourself, all the suppression that you have done, it finally then bursts out and you just make a very ridiculous decision suddenly. So it is not a midlife crisis people go through. It is simply them realizing that their entire life has been about tending to their parents' needs and wants. It starts from there. And then it comes down to your relationship, also, your kids, also. The way you kept on putting your parents' needs above yours, you will do the same with your partner, and you will attract a partner like that. You will attract a partner who will demand a lot from you, who will ask you to sacrifice yourself, and you will do it willingly in the name of love. Now, you can call it love. I've met a lot of men and women who call it love, who call it, this is how I love and all of that stuff. It's not love, okay? Somebody who loves you will never, and please write it down, will never demand you to give up on yourself, give up on your needs. The only partner who will do that, the only person who will do that, is somebody who benefits from it. And I want you to ask yourself, is it really worth being with a person like that? See, you did not have a choice in your life, uh, who you were born to. Okay, you and I, nobody has a choice in the house that you're born into, the parents that you have. But every decision after that, you have a choice. The partner you choose, the friendships you choose, the career, how many times you pivot your career, honestly, does not matter. You have complete choice over there. So if you are still dissatisfied with your life right now, it just means that you're repeating a pattern, and you can break that pattern. And that's what in the next 5 minutes. How do you stop abandoning yourself? Before we move on, the last point, and again, honestly, not the last point. There are many ways you abandon yourself. It becomes more clear when we work together one on one. But I'm covering as much points as I can. So the last point for today is when self abandonment is rewarded. Like when you're told, "Oh, you're such a good child. You're such a nice child. You don't ask anything from us. You don't demand anything. You never ask, to do this, to do that." And when other people who do ask are looked down upon, who are told that, "Oh, look at that kid. That kid is so naughty. That kid is so bad," or that kid keeps on demanding something. When you are told that consistently, what you are told is that you will be loved and accepted more if you keep your mouth shut. you know like if you're convenient, if you play small, if you don't ask many questions. When that is the dynamic, you learn that self abandonment gets rewarded, and that can give birth to people pleasing, very hardcore people pleasing, where your life just revolves around what is good for other people. I feel like I'm facing internet issues again. I'm just going to check quickly. How many times you pivot? Okay, I feel that the video quality is not that great today, but again, I really don't have much control over this. I will be uploading this on YouTube as well as a recording, so maybe you can fast forward the times the video got stuck. Anyway, now let's come to how do you stop self abandonment. Now you have to understand self abandonment is overcome in two stages. One is a conscious stage, and another one is an unconscious stage. The unconscious stage is more important and more permanent. Why? Because see, a lot of people often tell me that, Riyanshi, मुझे करने के बाद समझ आया ऐसा नहीं करना था. In English, meaning after I've already made the decision, then I realize, oh, I should not have done it like this. Like in the moment, I'm not able to speak up for myself. In the moment, I'm not able to take a stand for myself. So that means that self abandonment is so deep rooted in you, it has become a part of your nature, right? It has become second nature to you. So that is a lot of childhood trauma that has become a part of your personality. It's unconscious because trauma lives in the body. You can't intellectualize it. No matter how much information you watch, you can't intellectualize trauma. You can't overcome it. You will understand it, but overcoming only happens through systemic healing, which we do in trauma healing sessions. Okay, so the unconscious way of overcoming the self abandonment, which is honestly 70 to 80% of the work, is actually engaging in trauma healing sessions. So what exactly happens in trauma healing sessions? So for example, when I'm working with my clients, what we essentially do is that we connect you with your inner child, because all of these wounds are from the past, and we do regression work. We go into your past, we help your inner child come out of those emotions, you release those emotions systemically, and we revisit multiple situations in your life that has solidified this belief that you had to abandon yourself, right? And we release them one by one. That is what systemic healing is. That is what inner child healing is. And a part of intergenerational trauma healing, right? So intergenerational trauma is a trauma that you inherit from the generations that come before you. So that is systemic healing that we do in our one-on-one session. So if you ever want to work on that with me, you can always DM me coaching and book a session. Now coming to what can you do consciously? What can you do on a day-to-day basis so that you have a hold over yourself? Okay, instead of just like waving through life like this. So here I simply want you to ground yourself in certain questions. Okay. The first question is, what is the right decision for me that serves my best interests in this moment? This I want you to ask yourself every single time you're about to make a decision that involves other people, okay? That involves any decision that is different from yours. So, for example, let's say that you are my friend, you and I want to go for dinner, and I suggest an Italian place that is 15 kilometers away from your place. And let's say for whatever reason you don't have a mode of transport. So, for you to travel to 15 kilometers, you're going to have to spend a lot of money via cab, okay? Now, in this moment, I want you to ask yourself, what is the right decision for me that serves my best interest? Right? Maybe when you ask this question, the answer you get is that maybe the best thing for me right now is to not travel more than 3 to 4 kilometers because I don't want to spend a lot on cab. So that is what you communicate to me. That you know what, Rianshi, I can't come 15 kilometers because I don't have a mode of transport today, but this is what I can do. Right? I can travel to these many kilometers. So anytime you come across a decision where somebody else is saying something else and you want something else or you are thinking about something else, I want you to ask this question. Okay? Not from what is convenient for Yanchi. No. What is the right decision for me that serves me in this moment? Okay? And no, that's not selfish. It means that you're protecting yourself. Because the highest form of empathy is the empathy that first protects you and then other people. Okay? The second question is, what would prioritizing my well-being would look like at this moment? Now, this is something I want you to ask yourself every single time you feel that you have to go the extra mile, okay? And you are not sure if it is something that you want to do. See, whenever you're going extra mile for something or someone, it needs to be a hell yes, okay? 100% yes. If it is not a hell yes, you need to ask yourself this question. There will be some people in life, some situations in life for which you want to go the extra mile, okay? And it feels worth it to you. And it feels like a complete hell yes. That's fine. There will be situations with people in life. For that, it will not feel like a hell yes. Here, I wanted to ask yourself this question. What would prioritizing my well-being right now look like? Let's take another example, okay? Let's say again, you and I are a friend, and I told you that, you know what, I would like to go shopping. I would like you to accompany me. And we made the plan 1 week back. And suddenly, 2, 3 days back, you start feeling sick and you're very, very sick. Like you have a very bad headache and all of that stuff. Now, if you are somebody who's very prone to self abandonment, you will take a painkiller, you will come out with me, you will exhaust yourself, you will go back and get even more sick. But I don't want you to do that. I want you to ask this question to yourself. What would prioritizing your well-being will look like? Because if you come here to shopping with me, you're going the extra mile, but you need to ask yourself, is it worth it? Is shopping and Rianshi both worth the extra mile? Maybe I'm not that special of a friend with, maybe I'm not that close to you. Maybe I'm not that special of a friend. Maybe I'm not somebody who has done that for you. So should you really be doing that for me? Similarly, the activity that we're doing, okay, it's shopping, right? Is it really something that you would like to go extra mile for? Ask yourself this. So anytime you feel that you have to go the extra mile, ask yourself, is what would prioritizing my well-being would look like? Maybe in this situation would look like picking up the phone and telling me that, you know what, Rianshi, I'm sorry, but I'm really, really sick. Maybe it is something that we have to reschedule, right? Maybe it is something that we can do sometime else. So whenever the extra mile question comes in, because people who self-abandon go the extra mile all the time. I've worked with countless clients like this, and I've had to teach them certain formulas, certain frameworks that they follow even now. I still get their messages that it's working so well for them. But you have to ground yourself into these questions. Okay. This brings me to the next point, which is a very important point. How can I allow people to show up for? It's very important because people who engage in self-abandonment tend to think that I am only important if I'm useful. I like, let's say again, you and I are friends. You may think that I am only important to Rianshi if I agree with everything she's saying or if I show up for her. But are you allowing me to show up for you is the question that I want you to ask yourself. Let's say that Let's say that you just met a colleague, and you have just known each other for, let's say, a few months now, and he suddenly asks you that I want you to do my leftover work because I'm taking a leave and all of that stuff, and that would involve you missing a really important time with, let's say, your kid and your wife, whatever. Okay, now you need to ask yourself, you want to show up for the other person, sure, great. Has this person shown up for you in the same way? If the answer is yes, then go ahead, do it. If the answer is no, then no, you don't do it. Okay? People who have self abandonment wound give too many chances to other people. Too many chances. They tend to live in this false hope that, oh, they will also do it for me. And my question is always, have they? And more importantly, are you giving them the chance? For example, let's take the same example. You are sick, I want to go shopping. Will you allow me the chance to show up for you? Instead of shopping, can I come to your home and be there for you? Can I take you to a doctor? Will you allow me that? Or did that thought not even occur to you? To call me and tell me that, you know what, Rianshi, I'm sick, come to the doctor with me. Because again, another layer to this is that people who have self-abandonment wounds don't give other people the chance to show up for them. They're so used to themselves and their needs being neglected that they just think that, oh, I don't want to trouble anyone else. But the whole point of building a real relationship with people is to tell them that you need them. That's the only way you're going to test whether certain people show up for you or not. That is going to be the true test of your relationship. Anybody, honestly, not a partner, not a friend, anybody, your in laws, your colleagues, whatever it is. Allow other people to love you, allow other people to show up for you. Because if you don't, you will be in the false hope. You will keep on doing, giving, but getting nothing in return. And that's not a relationship. That's a big black hole where you keep on pouring things, right? The last question, and again, a very important one, is how can I create an environment for myself where choosing myself is easier? Now, this is very important, and I want to tell you this by a story, a client story. Before I do, I'll just quickly check if my internet is doing fine. Okay, we have a question. How do I contact you? So, you don't contact me, you can just DM me. And if you would like to book a session with me, you can just go to my profile and you will find this small button called book an appointment. You can just go to my top right page and book a session with me. And you can also join my free communities. And if you are interested in understanding about childhood trauma more, you can go and also take the free training Healing Childhood Trauma. And I also have a wonderful 3-day masterclass on um, design your career called Unblocked. The name of the masterclass is Unblocked. It's a career design masterclass, and that's also fantastic. So you can go through my free resources, and if you feel like you simply want to have a consultation call with me, you can just book a session. Okay, I think we're doing fine internet wise. All right, coming back to the last point I was saying, how can I create an environment for me which makes choosing myself easier? Now, here I want to tell a small story. Okay, I worked with a client of mine wherein they were living with their in-laws, and their in-laws felt very comfortable demanding things from them, whereas my client was used to abandoning herself, was used to people pleasing. It was very difficult for her to choose herself again and again, right? Because the environment was the complete opposite of what she was trying to become or what she was trying to do for herself. So oftentimes healing becomes much longer and much harder when you're consistently in an environment that is forcing you or asking you to become the complete opposite. She was trying to not be a people pleaser, and her in laws benefited from the fact that she was a people pleaser, right? So it became a very difficult situation for her. And in that moment, it was not easy for her to like create any distance because she lived with them. And that is a case that has been with a lot of my clients, right? Where they lived with their parents or where they lived with somebody who kind of benefited from their unhealed version. So when a case like that exists, I highly recommend that you create environment for yourself. If it is not possible to leave the physical premises, create a sub environment, which means that either distance yourself, bring down your communication with those people, go out more often. Basically, try to cut down as much communication as you can from people who benefit from you being unhealed. Okay, if it is possible for you to change your place, like have a physical distance, that would be great, please do that. But if it is not possible at all, please reduce your communication, and always do trauma work, because talking alone is not going to help. Okay, so Often when the environment is not healing friendly for you, it's going to be very difficult. For example, you are somebody who's trying to be a confident person and people around you kind of, shame you for it, or call you selfish, or call you somebody who's self-centered for you. When you speak up for yourself, it's going to take a long time. Okay, it's very important for you to have a environment that supports your healings, that supports your inner work. If it is the complete opposite of it, it's not going to work. So if it's possible for you to maybe distance yourself from people who benefit from this unhealed version, please do it. You don't have to explain yourself, you don't have to justify anything. Please do it. Okay. At least until you have developed enough inner strength through inner work that it does not affect you anymore. But if it does affect you, there is no strength in fighting it. Okay. There's no strength in being a hero that, yeah, yes, I will fight it. Your energy is going into fighting. Okay. And as a coach, I will tell you whatever I tell all of my paid clients is that there is no glory in fighting. Okay, there's nothing that you are doing that when you are fighting. So nothing is going to come out of fighting other people who are going to benefit from you staying anil. It's just going to make it more toxic for you. So if it is possible, please maintain physical distance from these people. If it's not possible, please reduce your communication with such people. Anybody who benefits from you being unhealed. And if you don't know people like that, sit down and reflect on it and you will find out. Unfortunately, sometimes it could be even your own siblings and parents. Okay, it could be anyone. Okay, but the point is that you have to sort of distance yourself from such people, because otherwise it's going to be very hard. Okay, this was the conscious part. Unconsciously, as I told you, that the only way any kind of inner work becomes solidified is when you release the root cause of it, which is the trauma that is there. For that, you require one-on-one inner work. You can go do it from anywhere. If you would like to do it with me, you can book a session with me as well. And I have free communities. I have two free communities. One is for aspiring and existing life coaches. So if you're somebody who would love to do what I do, and if you would like to be a trained coach and a coach who knows how to monetize their business, which means you would also like to make money from being a coach, you are very welcome to join us inside the community, the Empowered Coach. And if you're a personal growth enthusiast and you would like to learn and read more about the topics that I talk about, which is childhood trauma, how it affects you, and confidence and other things like that, you can join me inside my community called the Safe Space. We also do free coaching sessions there every month. Okay, thank you so much for those who joined in live, and for those who are going to watch this recording. You can always DM me with whatever questions you may have. This week we are going to have two more live events, so please keep a lookout on my LinkedIn so that you can attend it live. Thank you so much for joining. Bye bye.